Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. Only Goddess Academy people's faces were strange, their fine hairs standing on end. They held their breaths, feeling extremely nervous. However, they had previously received Qingyi's message, so they couldn't say too much. The dark-faced Xiahao took action, fast to a shocking level, making others' souls even tremble. He merged the Kuan Peng technique and Earth to Inch's great divine technique, moving like transient light. In addition, there was a heaven overflowing blood energy flowing out from him. It was as if a prehistoric enormous beast was going mad, ferocious and unmatched. Kuan Mo's pupils rapidly shrunk. He was an expert, moreover an extremely powerful one, but he discovered that he had been careless and made an error. He was imprisoned by some strange domain and unable to budge. Xiahao used his only heavenly passage, but he hid it quite well. After locking him down, he directly put it away. You let go. Kuan Mo could move again, but he couldn't struggle free. His hands and feet moved and bone texts erupted, wanting to blast Xiahao to death, but it was all ineffective. As if he was swinging a ragdoll, he grabbed his ankle and slammed him onto the ground, blasting the ground until it cracked open. Mountain rocks flew everywhere. Kuan Mo released a groan. This was just too humiliating. The other person didn't even use any precious technique, instead using brute force to swing him about. Xiahao treated him like a scarecrow, swinging him crazily about, almost making Kuan Mo fall apart. The bones all over his body were cracked apart. He then picked him up again, and after his fists smashed down a few times, his mouth of teeth fell out. His eyes were blacked and his nose caved in. He continuously cried out miserably. From the side, those sect's geniuses were all struck dumb, all of them agape and tongue-tied. They then struggled to swallow their saliva, simply unable to believe everything they were seeing. One has to understand that this was one of the Celestial Clan's 6 heroes, but he was being toyed with like a doll, swung around until he was almost unrecognizable. Moreover, this was all done with brute force. This truly left this group of people terrified. Who exactly is this fella? Xiahao flung this deformed Kuan Mo onto the ground and asked Goddess Academy's people. The group of people were stupefied. This was just too violent. He was only asking now. Kuan Mo's entire body was in intense pain, and he was so embarrassed he was going to faint. He was the glorious celestial race's heroic talent, yet he wasn't even given a second look by the disciple of a small sect, only having his identity inquired about after he was beaten up. This was just too shameful. Do you know who I am? What clan I came from? He was so angry his voice was shaking. He endured the pain and shouted loudly, What clan did you come from? Xiahao's face darkened as he asked. Broken walls, foundations overgrown with weeds, old-fashioned soft roof tile pieces, everything spoke about how declining this place was. The group of people were stupefied. A youth that walked out from this kind of small sect beat one of Celestial Clan's 6 heroes so miserably he wailed and howled. I came from the Celestial Clan. Kuan Mo used up all of his energy, and with a trembling voice, roared outwards. His eyes carried a ruthless and tyrannical light, as he looked at Xiahao to see his reaction. Now that someone from such a great sect came, its significance was great. It would definitely be enough to completely terrify a small sect. It was because he wasn't representing just himself, but instead an entire sect. Xiahao's eyes widened, and then he looked at him carefully. Kuan Mo's anger was originally flourishing, but when he saw how Xiahao looked, he felt that this person was scared, so he felt arrogant inwardly. Celestial Clan really had a powerful influence just like before, leaving all sides in restraining fear. You provoked a huge disaster. It's too late to regret it. Kuan Mo said ruthlessly. He sat up on his own and continuously sneered at Xiahao. In the surroundings, the group of people also sighed softly. This small inheritance really was unlucky. They could have provoked anyone, yet they offended the Celestial Clan, making one of the 6 heroes come personally. However, everyone also sighed in admiration. This small sect really was formidable, producing such an extraordinary figure, who could even restrain Kuan Mo. It was unbelievable. Only Goddess Academy's people's faces had strange expressions. All of their lips opened and closed, wanting to say something, but unable to speak those words. They felt extremely uncomfortable. They didn't believe that this degenerate was scared stiff. He dared to carry out business in Goddess Academy, saying that he could beat up talents of all grades, So would he fear the celestial clan? What was the meaning of this? Was he telling this youth to kneel down? When they heard this, Goddess Academy's people couldn't help but cover their mouths. There were even some that directly turned their heads, not willing to watch on any longer. All right. Xiahao nodded. He didn't feel like watching this person act carkily any longer, because he found that this was precisely the head of the Celestial Clan youth, its most powerful individual. Then, he moved his feet. Kacha sounds rang through the air, the sounds of bones cracking extremely deafening, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. They couldn't help but shudder. Kuan Mo screamed loudly, his 5 senses distorting and cold sweat pouring outwards. He immediately kneeled onto the ground, his legs unable to support his body. It was because his knees split apart, the bones in his legs fracturing and deforming. He fell down on the rocky ground, the pain so great it felt like his heart was tearing and lungs splitting. The elites of those great sects were all stupefied. This youth still took action, acting so powerfully even after hearing the Celestial Clans denouncing. This was completely unexpected. Goddess Academy's people were comparatively more calm, because they knew that this was definitely what was going to happen. This inheritance never suffered losses, its notorious reputation widespread. You are bringing disaster onto your sect. Kuan Mo shouted loudly. He was a bit stunned. Why was it different from what he thought? Wasn't that youth scared just now? Why would he suddenly change and erupt into action now? My name is Kuan Mo. He was inwardly fearful. After becoming slightly clear-headed, he hurriedly spoke out his identity as one of the 6 heroes, hoping that the other party might feel some misgivings, thus perhaps allowing him a chance to escape from this disaster. Today, there was actually a so-called seed of the Celestial Clan who came to provoke him, pressuring him with the Celestial Clan's power. Wasn't he just courting death? Xiahao didn't waste his time with words, instead directly sending his palm down. Forget about his teeth, his entire lower jaw was about to disappear. As for his bones, they were long broken and fractured to the point where he didn't look like a person. Stop. Dao friend, there is no need to be so ruthless. You should know when to forgive others. Someone spoke. This could be considered a plea for leniency, wishing to stop Xiahao to help out the Celestial Clan. You are judging the situation inaccurately. Xiahao said. A streak of lightning directly hacked over, releasing pipa sounds as it flew outwards. This was the Lightning Emperor's precious technique. It immediately charred that person black, his entire body twitching after falling onto the ground. Many people's expression changed. This was someone from the 9-headed snake race, the ones that held grudges the greatest. Xiahao actually acted so fiercely right off the bat towards him. Dao brother, it's still better if you stop. Otherwise, your sect will most likely suffer a disaster. Someone tactfully stepped in, fearing that if they used force, they would also be put down. Xiahao sneered coldly and said, the one I am attacking is the Celestial Clan. Forget about him, even if all 6 heroes came, I would still beat them all up without mistake. When these words were spoken, everyone became shocked. This already couldn't be described with just arrogance. Was this a declaration of war? He was going to confront the Celestial Clan. It had to be noted that Celestial Clan's younger generation number 1 was about to appear, and the outstanding beauty Unileven was also coming together with him. He unexpectedly dared to say this so directly. Kuan Mo was completely stupefied. He was beaten to a terrible degree, looking stupefied. Who exactly was this person? He didn't fear the Celestial Clan at all, and instead directly targeted them. Do all bear hostility against me, wishing to stick out for the Celestial Clan? Xiahao's expression was not good as he stared at those disciples of other great sects. Apart from Goddess Academy, the others were still in shock. This threat from the inheritor of this shoddy sect really was a bit absurd, but they had to admit that he was strong. Then, everyone's hearts began to pound. This fella was too domineering, unexpectedly directly taking action against those that previously revealed hostility towards him. In that instant, the young experts from various races were all blasted. Pili Pala sounds rang through the air as they were cooked like pot stickers. Kuan Mo shivered inwardly, his now slight clear-headedness allowing him to understand that he had provoked a devil king. This fella was too terrifying, not fearing any sect at all. He was powerful and completely unrestrained. Everyone shivered inwardly. The experts of every sect were completely shocked. No one dared to take action, nor did anyone say anything. The scene was completely quiet. Then, a streak of electricity descended, entering Kuan Mo's body, making his soul tremble. He cried out inwardly, every hope turning into dust. It was because Xiahao crippled his cultivation. Get lost. Xiahao kicked him flying into the group of people. He then strictly warned everyone to leave immediately. Many people revealed looks of surprise. This person was too demonic. Was he truly going to challenge the celestial clan? Dao brother, doing this might bring disaster onto your clan. It is better if you plan ahead. Some people kindly reminded, inwardly transmitting, no matter, I'll be waiting right here. I want to see what kind of experts celestial clan has. The 6 heroes can come together. I'll be waiting. Shahao said. Everyone was stupefied at first, and then they were greatly shaken inwardly. Was this a declaration of war? Everyone sensed that a great storm was brewing. With Yu and Yun 11 here, there would likely be a confrontation here. The mountain gate now quieted down. Shahao walked inside, and he saw Qi Daolin sitting on top of a large rock. He said with a soft voice, Dao Master, I have some things to tell you. What is it? Qi Daolin was sitting with his eyes closed. I have some secrets on my body. Shahao said, who doesn't have secrets? Can't be that important. Qi Daolin was extremely calm. Dao Master, there are many sects looking for me. Shahao confessed. Qi Daolin released a grunt, opening his eyes and expressing that he knew, you were aware. Shahao was shocked, why else would I bring you back? Not anyone can become the disciple of Supreme Being Dao, right? Qi Daolin said. Right now, he was wearing a golden Dao robe, appearing immortal and imposing. His eyes were deep, his figure exuding a type of great prestige. Shahao was stupefied, and then he said, since you know who I am, then I won't feel any more misgivings. Dao Master, I want to flatten celestial clans outer Dao, right? For example, the divine mines in Fire Province. Wouldn't that stir up a disaster? Go then. Qi Daolin only had these 2 words. Shahao's eyes lit up. He didn't say anything else. This old man really was domineering, only saying those 2 words. However, it was just what he needed. Huang, this name isn't bad. You can go. Qi Daolin closed his eyes and continued to sit there. Shahao originally turned around, but his body was a bit sluggish, somewhat hesitating before leaving. This old man only mentioned Huang. Why didn't he mention his name Shahao? He should know that I came from the lower realm, right? He was a bit suspicious inside, but he didn't say it out loud. It was because Qi Daolin was completely calm, directly cutting him off each time, not giving him the chance to say it. He should understand everything then. Shahao left to make his preparations. The first matter was acquiring details on Celestial Clan's visit to Fire Province's mines. He had to understand this matter clearly first. Below the mountains, the group of people were about to return. The mood was a bit heavy. They came to a small sect today, yet the events that played out were simply unbelievable. Goddess Academy's Dao brothers, what is that person named? Celestial Clan's people spoke, their tone not all that friendly. It was because they felt like they were tricked today. How could Goddess Academy not tell them about such a powerful individual beforehand, great senior brother? The disciples from various sects all revealed looks of shock. This really was a special title. This fella's way of speaking wasn't small. However, he really was ridiculously powerful. Is he really the disciple of a small inheritance? Someone asked. This was also what everyone else was wondering as well. The events that took place today were too unusual. He is. This inheritance has been tattered for several thousand years, and should have long stopped passing down its tradition. It has only risen from the ashes recently. Someone from Goddess Academy replied, but they had to pluck up their courage. What kind of sect is it exactly? One of them couldn't wait any longer and directly inquired. Supreme Being Dao, right? A female disciple from Goddess Academy said with a soft voice. It sounds a bit familiar. Why do I feel like I heard of it before? How could a small sect leave me with this kind of impression? Holy Feather Race's heroic talent said to himself. A Bleak Moon Ancient Caves people cried out in alarm, seemingly realizing something. Supreme Being Dao, right? Kuan Mo clenched his teeth, feeling incomparably resentful. He then became clear-headed, because he recalled that this was an evil sect. The master of this inheritance was previously well known in the higher realms, stealing from 100 families and clans. He entered all different inheritances to learn their secret methods, an absolutely notorious individual. Yin-Yang Academy's people were stunned as well, clearly understanding some inner details. They sighed inwardly. It was actually this type of inheritance. This really was unexpected. A youth was heading along with great speed. It was precisely Shahao. He had secretly paid Goddess Academy a visit, obtaining a lot of information from Yu Chan. Right now, he was moving through the great earth like a streak of lightning. He already understood many things. He carefully observed Fire Province's map, differentiating the scope of power of various great sects, as he headed towards his objective. Up ahead, silver flames surged, surrounding an area of several li. The grass was completely unharmed, but there were creatures that were burned into ashes. Shahao shivered inwardly after experiencing Fire Province's nasty environment a bit further. There were some areas where fiery light would surge, coming fast and going fast. It was extremely strange. It really is a strange place. What exactly is there underneath the earth? Why is there always strange flames surging? Even now, Shahao didn't know the answers to these questions. In reality, forget about him, even Fire Province's great inheritances couldn't claim to truly understand what was going on. The divine mines the Celestial Clan occupied bordered Goddess Province, not situated in the depths of Fire Province. That was why Shahao didn't need to borrow a transport formation, only needing to fly there. Several hours later, he arrived in that region. This was the Celestial Clan's divine mine region. The amount of space they occupied was vast, and it was abundant with rare materials. This was an extremely well-known precious land. In this region occupied by the Celestial Clan, there were 2 divine mines that were the most well-known. They had been mined for many years, yet divine materials came out unendingly. Unfortunately, in the end, there was only a granule of immortal gold with impurities, so it wasn't a true immortal mine. It was only because of this that the great chaos calmed down. Shahao arrived. He gazed over from afar and silently thought about everything. He wasn't extremely nervous, because he knew that there were no heavenly deities here. The most powerful individuals were only true deities. After all, heavenly deities were too extraordinary. Normally speaking, they wouldn't be assigned to protect a divine mine. They would all remain by the sect and focus on cultivation, stationed there to protect the clan. In reality, true deities were enough. As one of the most powerful inheritances, there really weren't many people who dared to steal from them. This was, unless immortal gold appeared in the world. Shahao was fearless. Now that he came with the Kuan Peng technique and Earth to Inches great withdrawal technique combined, his speed became even faster. He could escape even if he encountered true deities. He wasn't in a rush to take action, instead moving from one place to the next. He gave both well-known divine mines a look. Suddenly, Shahao was shocked. With the dual pupil, he saw that one of the divine mines had a trace of Tao energy seeping out that seemed quite unordinary. When he put away the dual pupil, it immediately disappeared. It is a bit different. Shahao used the dual pupil again, and carefully looked it over. That place was completely quiet. Only after a long time had passed did he discover a wisp of white mist seep out from beneath the earth. It was extremely faint and mysterious. What exactly did this place have? Shahao was confused. It was difficult for him to capture that mist even while holding the divine pupil. Only after a long time had passed did a wisp seep out. He didn't take action, instead going into hiding here. He watched everything quietly, and then he discovered that this ancient mine looked ordinary, but actually guarded a secret. There were 10 deities standing guard here alone. This was still just what he saw, yet it already left him shocked. Normally speaking, even if true deities came, they would only be overseeing this place. Why were they continuously patrolling this place? Something might have happened here, he said softly. Why haven't you and the others arrived yet? This is a rare opportunity. It will be unfortunate if it is missed. Someone said. Shahao heard this through his powerful divine senses. Even though this place was a savanna, there were still a few mountains scattered about. This ancient mine was precisely at the foot of a mountain. There were a few true deities sitting on a different mountain peak, quietly discussing something. In that instant, Shahao changed his mind, temporarily putting aside his thoughts to attack the Celestial Clan's mine region. He was now going to think of a way to enter this ancient mine. If nothing unexpected happened, there would be a natural opportunity here. Could it be an immortal seed? I heard that there were immortal essence, bone pieces, and other things sealed. Once obtained, these things can allow one to carry out a perfect evolution. Wu, you're correct. I heard that there were some in the ancient era that didn't ignite themselves with a divine flame, but instead borrowed immortal blood to create a Tao seed. The effects were quite great. Shahao was shocked. He actually heard this secret rumor. He now looked forward to it even more. In the end, he began to move. He felt that he couldn't wait any longer, because the people here already made another report. There might be heavenly deities descending soon. Shahao used the earth withdrawal great divine ability to enter the earth, silently closing in on it bit by bit. In the end, he entered the ancient mine. Even though he couldn't fight head-on against a true deity, his movement technique had now truly become an art. There was no trace of sound as he made his way inside. When he entered the depths of the ancient mine, he saw a strange stone from far away that was 4 jong tall. There were actually strands of immortal energy seeping out from it that made one's heart tremble. This stone had many cracks on it. It was clear that it was just like what the true deity said. Upon touching it, it would crack. The Celestial Clan's experts attached quite a bit of importance to this, purposely stopping here, and not acting rashly out of fear of destroying this strange treasure. Shahao's eyes flickered with radiance. He definitely wouldn't act so careful. If there was a chance, he would directly bring it away. Only, there were true deities underground as well, sitting not too far from that strange stone, moreover not just one. They were vigilantly guarding this place, going to risk it all. Shahao said to himself inwardly. Now that he unexpectedly encountered this type of natural luck, he decided to take a risk. Of course, he didn't have to worry too much, because he still had the realm-shattering symbol after all. Celestial clans, true deities, cried out strangely, their eyes all standing vertically. This was stealing food from the tiger's mouth. An outsider actually appeared in Celestial Clan's #1 divine mine to steal their treasure, the source energy. Someone said with a trembling voice. After making sure that he wasn't seeing wrong, his entire body began to tremble and his eyes became bloodshot. He frantically rushed over. In that instant, there were 4 people who took action. 4 great true deities rushed murderously at Shahao. They definitely couldn't let him leave. Careful, don't let the strange stone be damaged. A true deity reminded, roaring with a low voice. This sudden change was truly unexpected. Shahao was quite decisive, using the strange stone to defend against their symbol light and protect himself. Since the other person was scared of breaking it, then there wasn't much to be hesitating over, little evil creature. A true deity roared. He forcefully pulled back the bone texts he fired, not forcefully striking him out of fear of damaging that mysterious stone. Reality proved that this stone truly was quite fragile. Even with Shahao running while carrying it on his back, this type of movements still created several terrifying cracks. Are you trying to destroy a heaven and earth treasure? Hurry and put it down, or else you will be condemned by history. Not even 100 lives will atone for your crime. A true deity berated angrily as he clenched his fists. Moreover, he spat out an expanse of symbols from his mouth. It turned into metal words, and when those characters smashed together, they flickered like clusters of stars. There were also waves of clanking sounds. When these tangible symbols connected together, they formed a divine chain, suppressing towards Shahao to lock him down. A kai sounded. Shahao turned into a beam of light, moving several dozen zhong, and making his way through the enormous underground mine to avoid this attack. His speed made the true deities feel fear. How could he be so fast? The pupils of the 4 great experts rapidly contracted, now truly scared that he might escape. This really might be source energy that is currently forming a divine substance. It cannot be lost. The 4 great true deities were now nervous. By now, all of the Celestial Clan's experts were alerted. They swarmed over, especially the true deities. Their bodies shone one after another like a dozen or so small suns, illuminating heaven and earth. Everyone's heart blood began to surge, feeling great anger. Who was it that dared to do this? A single person barged into Celestial Clan's restricted area and stole their natural luck. This was something completely unprecedented. Not even those great sects dared to do something like this, because this was the same as a declaration of war. The 2 sects would fight, and there would definitely be countless that die. The result of this was extremely severe. Shahao continued to run. Another streak of holy radiance surged, a restriction from the cave. It almost surrounded him, and he only barely managed to avoid it. Fortunately, there weren't too many restrictions in the cave, because there were people who came every day to excavate divine materials. If there were too many terrifying formations weaving together, they might even harm their own people. Shahao ran frantically the entire time. During this process, the strange stone on his back would release cracking sounds from time to time, and even more great Tao energy would be released. In the depths of the ancient mines, there were countless black caves. Some of them would reach several hundreds to thousands of roads, making it seem like a labyrinth. Shahao entered a fork in the road, and then he immediately charged forward. These were all new caves that had been created over the past thousands of years. In the ancient era, there were even more numerous spider web-like old caves, vast, boundless, and densely covering everything in the distance. This naturally made it much easier for Shahao's escape. Meanwhile, a total of 11 true deities were still chasing after him, moving through the caves to try and stop him. However, anything that went through this process would be extraordinary objects. Its price would be invaluable, and when it appeared, it would definitely make people go crazy. Shahao turned around and gave it a look. He discovered that the zhong chunk that fell off wasn't part of the main object. Its Tao energy quickly disappeared, while the mists the enormous rocks on his back released became even richer. He didn't want to put away the stone material on his back, because there was using it like a shield to stop the attacks of the people behind him, preventing them from going all out. Something isn't quite right. With my speed, I should have rushed out of the ancient mine a long time ago. Why am I still running in circles around these caves? Shahao discovered a few abnormalities. This was too strange, almost like he was traveling through a maze. He had long lost his sense of direction. There were formations guiding him, it was quite strange. Shahao shoved and bumped about, no longer walking along the underground palace routes, but instead directly breaking through the stone walls and smashing into the rocks. He chose a direction and began to forge his own path. Suddenly, a tremendous force appeared. It appeared extremely abruptly, an energy that came from underground. It was going to shake Shahao's legs into dust through his feet. A true deity took action without holding back at all. Shahao couldn't block with the strange stone even if he wanted to. One could clearly see that bone texts were burning about, erupting in this place. Meanwhile, the rocky walls exploded and an enormous open space appeared. Several true deities appeared here, cutting this area off. Is he dead? One of them said. Soon after, everyone became shocked, discovering that the center of the scene was shining. It was gentle and holy, blocking all of the destructive bone texts from just now, not allowing that area to be affected by anything. Protection symbol, what level of an item is this? Several true deities cried out in alarm. At the center of it all, Shahao carried the enormous stone while completely unaffected. A layer of light appeared around him, surrounding him within. This was precisely one of the symbols he brought out from the three-world coffin's ruins. This was also one of the reasons why Shahao dared to take a risk. When the small world within that bronze precious case exploded, it was still able to resist destruction. Not even the boundless void cracks could destroy it, so it could definitely block the attacks of true deities. The only thing that made him worried was if this symbol would be ruined because of this, because that would be quite unfortunate. It wasn't even damaged. Shahao was pleasantly surprised. The true deity's attack wasn't even able to make a single crack appear on that ancient symbol. It was unexpectedly completely unaffected. This meant that he could use this many times. In the rear, Celestial Clan's true deity's eyes became dark, feeling both alarm and fear. If they were stolen from like this, they would suffer tremendous blame. The aura has become even more dense. It really is an unimaginable wondrous object after all, most likely containing an immortal seed that can allow one to display the most shocking evolution. A true deity trembled inwardly, feeling his blood surge. If the Celestial Clan was able to obtain it, they might be able to bring up an exceptional individual. The ground was smashed to pieces. Shahao rushed out, breaking free from the ancient mines. Meanwhile, the 11 true deities appeared as well, frantically trying to stop him. They now seemed almost a bit unfearing of consequences as they attacked viciously. How formidable. Shahao was shocked. If he was a bit unluckier, he would have been swept through by several streaks of natural Dao laws. It was clear that the Celestial Clan's true deities were going crazy. Even if the stone material was damaged, they still had to make Shahao stay behind. While breaking out from the enclosure, the protection symbol shone again, helping him block another attack. He then disappeared into the great meadow and quickly fled. You won't be able to escape. Someone roared with a loud voice, and then he brought out a crimson curved blade. It carried fiery light, splitting apart heaven and earth as it quickly descended in this direction. Heavenly deity magical artifact. Shahao was greatly startled. He began to run with everything he had. However, that magical artifact was extremely terrifying, following right behind him under the true deity's control. The scarlet radiance began to flourish greater and greater like the weapon of a death god as it descended. Even while far away, Shahao already felt the fine hairs on his neck stand on end one after another, producing a layer of goosebumps. This magical artifact was clearly coming after his neck to remove his head. I really don't want to ruin the protection symbol though. Shahao frowned. He feared that the precious symbol on his body would be destroyed under this strike. However, strange changes took place. The strange stone on his back moved, and streak after streak of mists rushed out. Like hundreds to thousands of waterfalls, they surrounded his body. Shahao was shocked. He felt that his body immediately became heavier, as if he was carrying an extremely great mountain crushing down on him. Even his shoulders began to become sore. If not for his flesh being far greater than other supreme experts, he would have definitely collapsed under the weight, and his body would be turned into bloody paste. This was an unendurable weight, and it happened too suddenly. At the same time, the Celestial Clan's true deities quickly flew in retreat, feeling that things weren't quite right. The void was even splitting apart, and these cracks were extending towards them. Catcher. A crack appeared on the protection symbol on Shahao's body. It was extremely striking, unexpectedly suffering damage under this explosion. This made him greatly alarmed. One has to understand that not even the explosion of the small world was able to destroy this symbol. This is a reverse devouring of heaven and earth. There is some kind of unmatched object contained within after all. Celestial Clan's true deities cried out loudly. They were pleasantly surprised, but fearful as well, because the great cracks of the void were spreading over. A few people were affected, their bodies splitting apart. There were others that coughed out large mouthfuls of blood, almost dying right here. The strange stone completely split apart, and something wrapped within the source energy fell out from within. It was at times as large as a millstone, while other times shrinking to the size of an inch. It was extremely strange, heavens, it won't be destroyed, will it? The true deities that suffered serious injuries were going crazy. If this type of thing was not properly nurtured and emerged prematurely, it would be too regretful. Shahao took action, because it was within reach. With the protection symbol around his body, it didn't move too far. When he saw that this object wasn't erupting with terrifying energy any longer, he grabbed it and then ran, chase. The true deities' faces fell. They chased after him. In the end, Shahao disappeared. He used one of the space-shattering symbols he exchanged for in Fufeng City, and then together with the earth to inches and Kunpeng techniques, he fled. As for the realm-shattering symbol, even though he found two in the ruins, he didn't want to use them on true deities. Who was that person? The group of experts' faces were ashen. They really wanted to find that person immediately and skin him alive, using the most cruel methods to deal with him. With just a space-shattering symbol, he won't be able to escape that far. His coordinates can completely be determined and found. It's just that his movement techniques are a bit too strange, fast to a ridiculous degree. One of the true deities spoke with a downcast expression. The other's expression were also unpleasant to look at. One had to keep in mind that they were all true deities, yet while chasing after a supreme expert, they were outran, thus escaping. As for his body technique, one is the earth to inches technique, a human race great divine ability. The other belongs to a type of divine bird. An old true deity spoke, one that had great experience. I feel like it is like the golden peng's movement technique. Another individual spoke, because he vaguely saw a pair of golden wings appear on Shahao's back. No, it should be even faster than the golden peng movement technique. The old true deity spoke, even faster than the golden peng. Could it be someone widened their eyes? Correct, it should be that brat. He is getting revenge. The old deity's face sunk like water. His eyes flickered with cold light. The youngster that was captured and ultimately fled. Another expert's eyes became treacherous, clenching his fists tightly. Someone who they had previously imprisoned stole their great natural opportunity. Apart from him, who else knows the Kunpeng technique? The old deity's face was unpleasant to look at. Based on his suspicions, that was Huang, as well as the lower realm's Shahao. Is he tired of living? Another person stood up, revealing a mouthful of snow-white teeth. With an incomparably cold voice, he said, "That little bastard, my clan is still looking for him," yet he revealed himself on his own. This time, we definitely can't let him go. The other true deities were furious as well. They all erupted with killing energy. The temperature of the surrounding divine minds immediately plummeted. I reckon that he purposely exposed this, deliberately wishing for us to guess that it is him. This is an undisguised revenge. He is telling us that he came to make our celestial clan feel the pain. Someone spoke, just a trifling supreme expert, yet he seized my clan's divine object. This is intolerable. My heart feels like it is being burned by the flames of hell. A true deity spoke softly. When he thought of the fact that it might be Shahao getting revenge, he simply felt like he was going mad. Fury surged within him. He succeeded, making our hearts feel regret and torment. "Hey, you better not let us get our hands on you." One individual's hair was flying crazily about, eyes like blades. They believed that the strange stone that they lost most likely contained an immortal seed that was currently being nurtured. This loss was just too great. If any great sect learned of this, they would be driven mad. This was enough to create an unmatched expert. In the end, it finally stabilized, seemingly reaching an equilibrium with the outside world. It also became peaceful, becoming extremely light. Even if it was placed on the prairie, it wouldn't sink. Shahao sat down. He then carefully inspected it with his divine senses. The sphere of mist surrounding the strange object was extremely dense. Is this heaven and earth source energy? He was quite skeptical, because that was something out of legend. However, the celestial clans, true deities, had previously cried out in alarm, so that might very well be what this is. Rumor had it that heaven and earth source energy could nurture creatures, and it could also produce unmatched treasures. It was a wonderful type of substance itself. If enough was condensed, it could be used as an immortal material itself. Of course, its most shocking specialty laid in the fact that whenever it appeared, it was because some unmatched divine object was going to emerge in this world. It was because through it, one could absorb this world's essence. It had to be mentioned that heaven and earth source energy was extremely special, always pushing his hand out, separating that object from the outside world. After many tries, he finally succeeded. He immediately revealed a strange expression. It was because its shape was actually an egg, immortal seed. He was a bit stupefied. The immortal seeds others talked about were all general references, such as some immortal blood, immortal bones, and other things. They could all be used to refine oneself, planting the Tao when ascending into the divine flame realm, to achieve the most powerful evolution. Meanwhile, he now truly obtained a type of seed, unexpectedly an egg. It would most likely produce some type of creature. Immortal egg. When he thought of this, Shahao's eyes revealed a thievish light. It might very well be a true dragon egg, or an immortal phoenix egg. If I were to eat this, how great of a transformation would I undergo? He said to himself, feeling like saliva was about to drip out. If anyone else heard this, they would definitely become stupefied and then loudly berate him for being a foodie and wastrel. This type of thinking was just too unusual. This egg was slowly changing from 3 feet in diameter to an inch, and then from an inch back to 3 feet. The size continuously changed, leaving him a bit puzzled. Shahao naturally wouldn't act rashly. He began to inspect it, placing his hand on the egg and then closing his eyes to earnestly sense it. In the end, he was stupefied, and his body trembled. He felt that this was inconceivable. A look of shock covered his face. This egg's shell contained a type of engraving that was supported by the heaven and earth great Tao. It seemed to be able to communicate with the entire world. He seemed to have been able to see all things in heaven and earth down to a single blade of grass, or a single tree. I can't eat this egg, he was greatly shocked inwardly. He was always thinking about how he wouldn't use something like the great scarlet sky flame to ignite his body, but instead search for other methods of becoming a deity. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.